Well, hello everybody and welcome to another Happy Travellers vlog. Today, well, you might wonder why I'm down so low, and that's because we've got to fix this cupboard door down here. Now you might remember that I broke it because I dropped something on the floor and then stumbled because I got hit in the head with the door handle as it was closing, and broke the bottom hinge off. Now I've used some bigger screws to make a temporary repair to put that back on, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to drill out those screw holes and refill them with some epoxy resin and let that dry, a couple of little pilot holes, and pop the screws back in to make it a nice secure fixing. I've also got to readjust the door so that it closes. Now let me show you. I can just lift you up from there and show you down here. There's a huge gap in that door and that's fully closed, and over on this side we have a sort of gap over here. Oh, let's get that out of the way. We have a gap over here and it's not level, so that's not very well adjusted. So what I'll be doing is moving these hinges around so that they are fully adjusted and pull that cupboard in close to this edge and line up over there. Now I think these, I'm not really that sure about how all these adjustments work, and you have to get both hinges just right so that it all lines up. But for now, let's just get on with the repair for the wood. So first things first, we've been out into York and had a nice little look around, and I managed to get a load of mud on my shirt from, I had a stone in my shoe and managed to, I don't know, anyway, so a change of shirt. Anyway, so the first thing I need to do is to take the door off, and I've got my little tool bag here, and I'm going to be just taking that door off. I won't bother to take all the stuff out, but I do need to just get the right size screwdriver. And just undo these. Should undo the bottom one first. And that comes off. So it's not the bits on the door. It's not those bits that are a problem really. These, although I think those screws in there should be countersunk as well, but they're not. They're flat, sort of machine head screws. So we'll just pop that. We'll pop that round to one side for the moment. Then we're going to be concentrating on the bottom lock, on the bottom hinge there. So let's just bring you down and show you that bit. So it's this hinge here, and I've got a few bits and pieces in the way, so I'll just take those out. Cartons of almond milk, a kettle. So we're plugged into the electric here, so the little gas kettle that we use can be put away. Now what I've got here is, I think I showed you these the other day. I just put those in because they were longer and they gave a little bit of grip onto the wood further in. You can see the holes there, and I think, you know, if we zoom in there, what I'm going to do is just drill those out a bit and then make up some epoxy resin to pop back in there to make that really strong, so I can then adjust it. But I'm going to get on and drill those out, so let's do that. So what we're going to do is just use this small drill just to start to sort of clean up that hole and just enlarge it a bit. So I'm just going to be really gentle. And just get that hole just slightly bigger so that I can fit some epoxy resin in there, just to give it a lot more strength. So you can see there that the hole is getting quite a bit bigger. I'll use that torch, get you zoomed in there a bit more. You can see that hole is reasonably large, and I can start to fill that up. I don't think it's clean enough yet, but so I'm going to just clean it up a bit more. So what I can see in here is, well, I can actually feel it. There's a lot of loose and damaged fibre chipboard behind this veneer. So I'm just sort of circling round to get that really cleaned up and get into a bit more solid and undamaged chipboard, and a big enough area that I can actually get a good bit of epoxy resin in there. And I think they are both looking reasonable. What I'd really like in for this is a very small hole cutter, because these are a bit jagged, but I don't think it will matter once I get that epoxy resin in there. I'm feeling quite a bit of resistance in the wood there now, in the chipboard, so that seems to be okay. Now for the epoxy resin. So the first challenge is opening the epoxy resin. Here it is, and it's all sealed up here. I don't know whether I was supposed to pull that off because it's sort of got a grip on it, but it's impossible to pull it off. And it does say it's got a resealable, it does, you know, so you can reseal that. But then I noticed there's a sort of resealing cap in the syringe part there. So I think this breaks off. It's quite tough to break off, so I'm going to have to use this pair of pliers just to break that off. Yeah, and it is a break off seal on there, so that's all starting to come out. And I've used an old bit of cardboard to mix up on, and the Gorilla Epoxy Resin, which is a two-part mix, and it comes with a sort of joined up syringe, so you sort of push out the two parts in equal proportions, and it comes with a little mixing stick as well. So let's just get you refocused on the mixing part of it. So this is an old bit of cardboard that we've just actually bought Wendy a new cable for the iPad. I'm just going to push down on these so that we start to get these things out. It's really, there you go, right, so that's that. But I think what we should do is have equal parts of that coming out. I've just wasted that bit because it should be equal parts, so I'm just going to reseal that up if I can. Yep, that goes back on there so that it doesn't actually seal itself shut epoxy resin style. So we put that back over there, and then we get the little mixing stick. And in fact, what I'm going to do is, to get this in the hole, I'm going to be using some little toothpick type cocktail sticks to get that in. So here we are down at the sort of business end, as it were, and what we're going to do is just get a bit of the epoxy resin on there. I'm going to scrape the excess off the back of that stick, so I've only got resin on the front. I'm going to use these little sort of cocktail sticks just to ease that in to that hole, so it goes right down to the back. And gets completely in that hole with no sort of air bubbles in it. And just do that to both holes there, and this apparently takes 5 minutes to set, but as with all these things, that's not necessarily going to be the case, because I think I'd prefer to allow this to go off for probably 24 hours before I start to put some screws in and sort of really bed that hinge back on there. I'm just going to get another cocktail stick here, get the excess out of there, make that all nice and smooth there, clear away all that excess, and I think that's that's pretty well sealed that up. And what I'm going to do is just use a bit of paper towel to just wipe around there. Make sure that's all nice and clean around the hole, so that we don't get all mucky around the edges of there. So that's that. All of that is running out, as one would expect. It's a vertical surface, so you got to sort of keep it in there. I think what I might do is just put that over and use a bit more just to push that in even further. But we'll come back to that when it's all dried out. Well, it's been an hour since I filled those holes in the cupboard side wall there to take the screws, and the epoxy resin is still not ready to take the screws. So I'm going to leave it overnight, and I'll have a go at fixing that up tomorrow. But for now, well, I'm just going to get on and make some dinner. So I'll see you again tomorrow, and we'll finish that repair. Bye bye for now.